What's up, everyone? Welcome to MI Declassified, also known as Two Mediocre White Europeans on Film.
What's up? What's going on?
I am here with my co-host for this limited series, I would say the main talent of Class Action, the star of the hit movie Tenet. I'm here with Mr. Richard Eric Jarvi. How you doing, bud?
Doing good, doing good. This is, yeah, you said it yourself. This is a limited series,
Mm,
limited edition. This feels special because we're leading up to Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. So we're gonna go through all the movies, talk about them. When I looked up because this is your brainchild, Matty. You
mm.
you pitched this idea. It feels in the vein of what Action Movie Anatomy was, and I love doing this, and I love the
Okay.
the idea behind it.
Yeah, it's very much like you see a lot of people doing like rewatches for rewatches for Marvel movies, rewatches for like Disney movies and stuff. So I thought, let's do one for MI. This is one that you and I both love. We're both TC Legend fans, even though
The
he only
biggest
follows one of us on Twitter. Me. I'll
so
try.
far,
I'll,
so
I'll try.
far.
Maybe we can get him as a guest. I don't know. It's 1 in a million shot. But if I just DM him and say, "Hey, we're two hosts of this podcast. We're talking about all the Mission Impossible movies. What do you think?" It's a 1 in a 10 billion shot, but I think we should try it. But
He's gonna say, "I'll be there in 10 seconds." Just
yeah, he was
you guys count to 10, and I'll be there. I
yes.
will be there.
See, that's it. Hive mind. I was thinking all we'd have to do is count to 10, or say Tom Cruise's name 10 times, and he would just appear. But we're starting with MI1. Came out in 19. I have the date here.
96.
96. Thank you very much. Obviously starring Tom Cruise, John Voight, Emmanuel Burt. I can never say Henry Czerny's name. Ving Rhames, Kristen Scott Thomas, Vanessa Redgrave, and Jean Reno.
Mm,
Mm.
what a
Directed
cast!
by Brian De Palma. And yeah, that's all the notes I have on it. So what we're going to do, as everything we do here on PLG Projects, we are going to give our brief summary, have a general chat about things, and then we're going to go into our segments because we like to break things up into categories and or segments on this channel. So the first segment is going to be your mission, which is a brief summary, little conversation between myself and Jarvi about the first Mission Impossible movie. Then we're going to move on to a category called Knock List. Now, this is our team MVP of the movie that is not Ethan Hunt, and it can be from either side. It can be the side of the IMF, or it can be whoever's taking on Ethan Hunt in that movie. The next segment will be Count to 10. Now, this is our favorite dramatic moment in Mission Impossible. And you may think, Mission Impossible, what dramatic moments are in? There's a lot of dramatic moments in Mission Impossible. Then we move on to Light the Fuse. Now, this is going to be, as we go on through this series, this is going to get a lot harder to do because this is our favorite action segment of the whole film. And I found this one to be a little bit easier, but then I thought
Yeah,
about what's coming up. We got the stuff in MI3, Ghost Protocol, Fallout, Rogue Nation, even MI2, which,
even MI2. That's what I wanted to say because there's a lot of great moments in there.
yeah, I am very much a justice for MI2. I think that movie gets way too much crap than it's due. I think that I love that movie, but we'll get to that next week. And then our final category, we started with your mission. The last category is called Should You Choose to Accept It? And now this is which character from the movie we are talking about do we want to bring into would we like to see appear in Dead Reckoning Part 1? We've got all the cast of characters that we're used to now. We got Simon Pegg's back, Ving Rhames is back, even Kittredge is coming back for Dead Reckoning, which would be awesome seeing Kittredge. I wonder if he's anything to do with the Syndicate, maybe. But who from the movie that we are talking about do we want to see in Dead Reckoning Part 1? What do you think, Jai?
That's a good list. That's a
Mm,
good mission list right
yeah.
there. And yeah, this is. I mean, I think the first movie that we're doing today is gonna be pretty straightforward. I think we're gonna have a lot of overlaps, but I
Mm.
think going forward, there's gonna be more and more to pick from, just like you said, when it comes to action at least. Because the first movie, I feel like overall is very it runs on the edge of being almost an artsy movie and being a spy
Oh,
thriller at the same time.
okay. Yeah, there's a lot less action per se,
Hmm.
but like the action moments are like big and bombastic. Whereas you get like the later films, it's like action, 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 non-stop action. This one, as you said, it's more of like the art piece. He focuses more on the thriller, the mystery aspect of it, everything unraveling. So yeah, I completely agree. They seem to just get better and better as they go. I have been on record of saying I think that the Mission Impossible franchise is the most consistent movie franchise
Mm,
of all time, more than the MCU, more than DC. I can't believe I'm saying this, more than Star Wars, because Star Wars has had some misses. I don't think Mission Impossible's ever like had a miss. Yeah, two might not be the best, but like it's still great. It's still like in a movie in a franchise of movies that are like all tens. That is one that's like okay, that's like an 8 or 9. That it's still better than most popular movie franchises. More consistent than most movie franchises, and I think that's a lot down to Tom Cruise.
absolutely. I think it's 100% him. He's become this staple of quality that he brings to all his movies, all his projects that he's doing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like even with Top Gun Maverick, like he like flat out refused to let that go to streaming. Like he was calling his classmates up. He's like, listen, just trust me. This is gonna work. This is gonna work. Okay. So shout out to Matt Bateman. He does a much
That
better
was
Tom Cruise impression than
no,
me.
that was good. That was good. That was
Thanks.
there was some sincere no, what was it? Passive, no, not passive aggressive. Since aggressive sincerity? I think
Aggressive,
that's
sincere.
aggressive
That's what he's
sincerity.
at. Like his mannerisms, like he's very aggressive, but he's not like overly aggressive. Like
Hmm.
he's more passionate than aggressive.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I think that shows in his apparent lack of sex appeal with any of his female castmates, which we're gonna get onto in this movie and the next one. But with that being
It's
said,
the
oh sorry, go on.
Go ahead. No, you go.
No, I was just gonna introduce the first category, so go ahead if
Let's
you got a
do it.
point.
Let's dive in.
Okay. Are you sure? We can if you had
Yeah.
something to point out. Okay. Cool, let's jump in then. So this is our first category. This is your mission. So looking through the plot here, after finishing a mission in Kiev, Jim Phelps, played by John Voight, and his latest IMF team are sent to Prague to stop rogue agent Alexander Golitsyn. Did I say that right? Yeah, it is Golitsyn.
Hmm.
From stealing the CIA knock list, which is the list of all the active intelligence agents that are out in the field and disavowed. The mission goes completely wrong. Members of the team start dying left and right. The team is killed, apart from seemingly Ethan and Jim's wife Claire. So that leaves the knock list is gone. It's in the open. Ethan then he goes to what is it? It's like a cafe, a restaurant, and he meets up with the one, the only, the returning in this next movie, Kittredge, in one of my absolute favorite scenes in this movie, where they're
For
sitting
sure.
down, they got the water tank behind them,
You know
and
it's something's gonna happen to the water tank because you know
yeah,
it's not just there for visual effect.
no, it like when he walks into the restaurant, like they take a good while to focus on the fish tank, and you have shout out to Jack, played by it was Emilio Estevez, right? That played Jack.
Emilio Estevez. That's
Yeah,
right.
damn. I always forget about that when I think about this movie. Jack, who's like the tech guy, he's like the Q of the team,
Hmm.
where he has all the gadgets and everything. He's the one when they're in an elevator going down to like the secret compartment of the embassy building. He's there on the laptop, having the having the elevator go up and down. Unfortunately, he comes to his untimely end when at the time an unknown force shuts his laptop, makes his laptop malfunction, and then he just goes all the way up. They can't control the elevator. Some spikes come down from the ceiling, and he gets
What
him.
are they? Why would that be in an elevator shaft, though?
I have no idea whether they they come down and they latch onto the elevator somehow. But a key moment in this scene between Ethan and Kittredge comes from what looks like a piece of gum that Jack gives to Ethan. That he says, "Red light, green light. Put them together. Pasta lasagna. Don't get any on you."
Yep, that's a great fucking line. If we did a favorite line, that'd be by far the best line in the movie.
Yeah, I think so.
It almost feels out of place because it's kind of comedic, but the way Emilio Estevez delivers it, it still works. It still fits in there.
Then once they're in there, and Kittredge is sitting down opposite Ethan. Ethan starts to realize that something's going wrong, and that's when Kittredge reveals this whole operation was a mole hunt. That someone inside the CIA, inside the IMF, has been feeding information to an arms dealer known as Max, who we will go on to meet later in the movie. Ethan is outraged that Kittredge would think, after everything and this is a running theme, I think, throughout these movies that I've kind of picked up on. They always think it's Ethan. Whenever something always goes wrong, like Ethan, he'll get shot, stabbed, blown up, all to help complete the mission. But at the end of the day, they always think it's him when something goes wrong. So what does he do? He's still got the stick of gum in his pocket. And he goes, "Red light, green light. Kittredge, you've never seen me very upset." Throws it against the glass. Glass explodes. Ethan makes his escape.
Slow-mo running that turns into one of his, like, the way he outruns the water. Again, he does it. He's the best runner in the business. My God, he's fast.
I think it's those small legs, like his little legs. They just move so quick.
Yeah,
and like
he's never coming on the show now.
Not after he hears this. But if you notice, he runs like he actually trained as a sprinter to run.
For sure. Yeah.
Hey.
I think he has been training or giving tips to other actors how to run in movies.
Oh my God.
So there is a way to, run well, because it's a trick. You have to not actually be fast, because the camera, you can't outrun the camera, or you have to still be in the frame in a go, but you have to look like you're exerting a lot of energy while doing it. So that, I think it's an art form. And I think in The Mummy, actually, I can't remember the female lead's name. I think Tom Cruise gave her some running lessons. Seriously.
God. I mean, it's even in his Twitter bio, running in movies since 1981. That's perfect. Of all the things he's known for, his run is the main thing. But then he's debriefed by Kittredge, makes his escape using the exploding chewing gum. And then he returns to the Prague safe house where they all gathered at the start of the movie. He gets an email, which, looking at, what was it, Yahoo Mail back then, looking at the type of phones and the type of laptops that they were using, I was like, that's what the intelligence agencies were using at the time. This stuff now would belong in a museum. But he gets an email from Job 3:14, which is a Bible verse, and Job he's like the mole's code name. Jim's wife Claire, who we thought to be dead, big car explosion, we think she's dead. She arrives at the safe house. Ethan goes nuts, thinking that Claire's been sent to bring him in, been sent to kill him, that he's going all paranoid. But it turns out it's just no. Jim said 4:00, 0400, we do not return here. If we abort the mission, we don't return here until 0400 hours. Jim apparently warned her that they were compromised, which helped her escape. and then Ethan goes on to lead to set up a meeting with Max, the arms dealer. What do you think about this part of the movie?
For Ethan to meet with Max.
Yeah, like the whole setup of like him arriving at the safe house, Claire coming in. Did you have like any suspicion that maybe Claire was
For sure. Yeah.
really? I
I
had
think
no
I think
idea.
I think well it's kind of weird to talk about now because the movie's been out like since '96, so I've seen it so many times.
Mm,
But it is suspicious, but they kind of double cross you again because Claire really is not really the villain. Even she gets double crossed by John Voight at the end.
mm.
So, but yeah, it is suspicious. And she has one of those faces as well. I feel like I don't know, she's gorgeous, but she
Yeah,
has that sort of, I don't want to call her a shit weasel because she's not a shit weasel, but she has that like, I don't know, that kind
I
of
think
sly look about her that she's up to something more.
she could be a shit weasel. I think, especially like
It's
at the
weird
end
to
where she,
call a lady a shit weasel though.
yeah. But hey, if the high heel fits, like at the end where she's like, Ethan, give me the money, and he's just like, oh, you bitch.
Mm.
Because she had me fooled. Maybe it's because she is so beautiful that I thought, hey, that was. Am I the only one that finds the moment where Ethan kind of like had her pinned onto the bed, like
That's a bit,
really creepy now watching it back?
yes, yes, definitely. Super
I'm,
creepy.
I was like, that's how you interrogate. Like, I get the hands up and like the
Hmm.
patting her down and everything, but then he like full on forces her down onto the bed and is like looking her in the eyes,
Yeah, like this close.
like who sent you? Who sent you to kill me? And she's like, no one, no one. And she's like having a full on panic attack. While I don't know if at this point she knows that Jim's dead, but like seemingly she's having like a crisis, and like a crisis that her husband has just died. Her entire
Hmm.
mission's gone to shit. And now she's here in this safe house, and Ethan thinks that she's there trying to kill him, so he could kill her at any minute. So
It's a great scene.
it's a great scene. I just thought that bit with like him like pushing her down and stuff was like
Hmm.
that's a little weird to watch it back
You
now.
you can't do that anymore. It felt like it had old Sean Connery James Bond vibes to
Yeah,
it. Those movies were like actually rapey. I hate to say it, but I mean it's not
you're not
cool.
wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Then then Ethan arranges the meeting with Max using a lot of Bible scripture in emails, which is kind of weird, but okay. You got to talk in code, I guess. And it's to warn her that the knock list that she has is fake. So he pulls up into town. Max's like bodyguard with like hair longer than mine is sitting
Hmm.
on a bench, and Ethan goes, "Excuse me, can I trouble you for a match?" The guy lights the match, and it immediately goes out, and a car starts pulling forward. How the hell the guy in the car saw that, like the match just get lit and then go out from the distance away they were? Fair play, because if that's the signal, just lighting a match, they must have had that like guy there with like binoculars, like, is he lit it yet? Is he lit it yet?
Mm.
They pull him in. Ethan, they say, can you need to put this mask on. Like, why? You want to meet Max? This is the price of admission. Puts the shroud on his head. They take him and they go meet Max. Then comes one of my favorite scenes, which is Ethan trying to convince Max that the knock list that she has is a decoy, and that as
Hmm.
soon as she boots it up, the IMF are going to be on her. Because then they boot up the list, and you have like the temperature starting to get hotter and hotter, and she's like, "Oh no, that's probably nothing. That's just the hard drive heating up." And then you have the bodyguard dude who walks out to the balcony. He doesn't see anything. He sees a van pull up, and that's about it. And you're thinking, at the time, like first watching it, you're like, "Oh crap! Is Ethan in trouble here? Like, is he gonna have to like get his own way out?" But then you see the guards, like, you see the agents step out of the van. The hard drive starts to get hotter and hotter, and then they realize, oh shit, we've been set up. What
That
did you?
is,
What was your take on that scene?
it's a very weird scene because the way
Mm,
it's the like why I call it weird is I think the camera angles make it
mm.
like there's a lot of from down under to up, like there's a lot of like up
Yeah.
toward upwards like shots and kind of tilted, so it kind of
Mm.
makes you feel very uneasy in this situation. And the talk with Max in a weird way is like it feels like a very sexually tense conversation, and
Do you know
it's
what? Who it
really
reminds me
weird.
of? Vin Diesel and Helen Mirren in
Yep.
Fast and Furious.
Yes, it really does. And it's I don't know, it is a great scene, but it is a weird one. But I do
Mm.
enjoy how confident Ethan is at that moment. Like he knows they're showing up. He's just counting down pretty much. Well, he's counting down minutes.
Yeah.
He's not counting to 10.
I mean, there's even the moment where she like gets right up in his face, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Well, I suppose that depends. Depends on what and how you like a paradox." And then he just like smiles out of it, like that big cruisy grin, and it's just like this might be one of like Cruise's one of those moments that people talk about where like Cruise has little to no chemistry with female co-stars because it does kind of like icky.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
she's not considerably older, but you know that there's an age gap there for
Mm,
sure. So
sure.
it's just kind of like, hey man, do what you gotta do to get the job done, I guess.
Oh, job done because it's Job 3:14.
Oh, there you
But
go. There you go.
but the
Well
way
done.
and the way she touches Ethan's ear, again, very
Uh,
weird. It's like it's such a weird scene, but I think that's what makes MI the first MI movie such a good watch, because there's a lot of those traumatic moments. There's a lot of those witty conversations, and I do love how the Mission Impossible movies have turned out to be now. But if I had to pick, I'd say I want more of those just conversations and tense moments,
yeah.
besides these big action scenes.
I wonder if we get those because it seems like Cruise is going more towards like more back towards the dramatic part of his career. Like we look in
Mm,
Top Gun Maverick, like some of his performances in there, just like whoa, that was like
mhm.
emotionally heavy. So I wonder if in Dead Reckoning Part One we're gonna like get some more of that, get more of those like deep, heavier conversations. I mean, we already see the moment where he's like, "There's nowhere I won't go, like to kill you if
Mhm.
whatever he says." So yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if like we're gonna get more of that like dramatic cruise moments with obviously we're gonna get the action pieces. We've seen the throw the dirt bike off the cliff moment.
Yes,
But I think you're right. I think it would be cool to have more of those like witty like battles of intellect and battles of wit with each other, like especially
exactly.
between him and Kittredge. Like
Yeah,
those two sitting opposite each other again after this and bringing it full circle is going to be something awesome.
agreed. And the scene when he does manage to convince Max, this is
Mm,
when we get to one of the most iconic scenes in movies ever, the
mm.
Langley, Virginia heist.
Yeah. So he convinces Max to take the deal. I think it was for like what $10 million in Job's real identity, I think.
Mm,
And then they start looking at the disavowed agents, which is where we get the legend, the man who makes up. I think he's been in every single MI movie. Is Luther Stickle, played by Ving
Bing
Rhames,
Rames. Mm,
and then we get. I didn't know his first name until I looked this up. Franz Krieger, played by Jean Reno, who, if you guys haven't seen Leon the Professional, incredible movie. That was the first movie I ever saw him in. Like before MI, I didn't
yeah,
understand it at all. But I was just like,
yeah.
hey, that's that guy. That's the cool French guy. He
Hmm.
hasn't really been in much since, is he?
Yeah, well, he's kind of older in MI1 already, because
Hmm.
you can tell he's like 40s or something. I'm guessing he has to be past his 60s now.
Hmm.
but he has been a notoriously difficult actor to work with. Well, he's
Oh,
French,
okay.
so there you go. He's French, and you can tell like from the way he's like the roles that he's playing, you feel like he's a hard ass. You know, he's always playing these tough characters, and apparently that's what he's like in real life as well. Add big ego, lots of money, Hollywood fame. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. And he was in. I remember playing this video game years ago called Onimusha, which is like a samurai game, and
Mm.
he essentially played his Leon the Professional character in the third one. He was like a hired assassin, and I just remember thinking, I haven't seen him in any movies in a long time. So who knows? Maybe just that they couldn't get him anymore. Like you said, if he's notoriously difficult to work with, people probably just like, yeah, we're probably not gonna work with this guy anymore. But then, as you say, they get to the one of the most iconic moments. If you think Mission Impossible, if you walked up to some average Joe on the street and said, "What do you know about Mission Impossible?" This is probably the scene that they think of most, where they go in dressed as firefighters to the CIA headquarters in Langley, which Luther's like, I can do it. I can hack in there, but I need to be at the terminal. Like, I need to be right up close to it. I can't do it from outside. So, like, screw it. We got to go in. We got to break into this vault where it's like any sound above a whisper is going to trigger the alarm. Any temperature above room temperature is going to trigger the alarm. Any noise at all, any
Pressure
movement,
sensitive
pressure
floors,
sensitive
I think.
floor. So if anything touches the floor, that's it. Game over.
Anything, even a drop of sweat can trigger the alarm.
That moment, oh my god, where he just sees the glass, he just sees the tear rolling down his glasses. He's just like, shit. So they break into Langley, and there's the moment where the security guards are in the office, and Krieger goes to pull his knife on one. And this isn't more important scene now than I thought. Than I thought at the beginning, because he pulls the knife and Ethan like pushes his hand to the door and he says 0 body count. But then he looks at the knife just as Krieger goes to like put it away. They sneak into the vault. Claire has been sent undercover, dressed up all nice, to kind of play, have a little fun with the analyst who's currently in the vault, flirt with him a little bit at lunch, show a little bit of interest, and she uses like this pen to squirt, I'm guessing, like a liquid laxative into the dude's coffee. So he ends up like throwing up, having to repeatedly go to the toilet, which enables Ethan to go further and further down the vault as the guy disappears. Which, that moment in its own is intense, because you're like, is the dude going to come back? Is he going to walk in on Ethan at any moment?
The last time I saw a scene that tense in silence and people arguing was in The Other Guys, the whisper fight.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you think of that use of silence as well, like, we don't even get any music or anything. It's just like, it really emphasizes the importance of like no sound could be made. And then you get the moment where there's like the rat comes down the vent, and obviously Krieger hates rats. I believe he even says he hates rats. And then he's holding on, and then he drops Ethan. Like, he lets go of the cable, and Ethan starts to fall to the floor. And then we get the iconic moment of spread out like starfish, looking around like, what the fuck is going on here? The teardrop the sweat drop comes down the glasses. Ethan catches it because he's like, look, if this touches the floor, game over. Gets pulled back up as the guy starts to come back in, grabs the disc that he's downloaded the knock list information of, goes all the way back up as the dude's about to come back from the toilet into the vault, and then Krieger, he has the thing in his hand, grabs the list, goes merci, and drops the knife.
Do you think that was the moment when he tried to steal the list for himself, or was he
I
just
think
being
so.
cocky?
I think that was the moment that he was trying to steal the list for himself.
Okay. Hmm. But
Anyway, a lot.
it was a great moment because the way we'll probably talk about that moment when we get to our segments.
Yeah,
I have a sneaky feeling,
yeah. It was
but
just like
this is so iconic.
the guy walking in and seeing the knife digging into the desk, and he's just like looking up. The vent's still
Yeah.
there. Oh shit!
Oh
But anyway,
shit.
let's move on a bit because now we're past the first like big chunk of the movie. They
Mm-hmm.
escape. Alarm goes off. They escape. Kittredge realizes, oh crap. He gets a phone call. They've broken into the vault. Oh crap. Like we need to find Hunt. And they disappear to London, baby. They come right
Hmm.
here. They're in a safe house opposite Liverpool Street Station, which is where they're gonna make their escape from. Krieger comes in as Ethan's trying to arrange the buyer with arrange the sale with Max. And he comes in, he's like, you're not going anywhere without me. I've got the disc. I've got it here. You're not going anywhere without this. To which Ethan pulls out a second disc
Hmm.
and he's like, don't you mean this? And Gregor's like, wait, what? And Ethan very much starts to play a little bit of mind games with him. He's like, look, you really think I'd let you have the list? You know, I know what you must be thinking. You're up here. I'm down here. We had to get a rock
Ed Harris
reference in
shows up.
somehow. Ed Harris shows up in every show apparently, and he starts doing the magic trick, which I love, where he's clapping his hands together, making the disc disappear. Shows up in his back pocket, shows up behind Claire's ear, and then Krieger just gets pissed off, and he's just like, what does he say? He's like, try any sleight of hand with my money, and I'll cut your throat. And he throws the disc in the trash. Turns out he had the knock list all along, and the disc that Ethan was holding was just a blank. So he was playing the man. He was playing the ego. He was playing the man. And Ethan then he sees on the TV that his parents have been busted in like a drug sting operation, which was set up by Kittredge to bait Ethan to come out of hiding, which he does. He goes to Liverpool Street Station, picks up the phone, dials Kittredge, and then looks at the clock because he knows he's got 30 seconds to let Kittredge know he's in London without giving away his exact location. Kittredge tracks him. They have the conversation. He puts the phone down. Kittredge is like, he wants us to know that he's in London. And then who should come from around in the phone booth next to them? Jim. Jim is still alive. They meet in the cafe. They talk. Jim convinces Ethan, Kittredge is the mole. Like I waited in the cafe for you the whole time. I was waiting there for you. I'm wondering if that's like the cafe that got destroyed. If he was waiting there, and that was like something that clicked in Ethan's mind, maybe. But Jim's trying to give this whole spiel of why Kittredge is the mole and how he's been onto Kittredge the whole time. I kind of thought that maybe Ethan was onto him at that
No,
moment.
he was, because I think he's seeing the actual story play out in the movie as well.
Mm.
John Voight is telling one story, and Ethan is seeing that he actually staged it. So it's kind of two things happening simultaneously.
Yeah, and he was behind the murders of the whole team. Like he was the one in control of the elevator when Jack went up into the roof. He fired his pistol, rubbed his hands on a bloody rag, and then showed Ethan through his glasses that it looked like he'd been shot. He had Krieger kill Sarah, the other lady that was on the team. He detonated the car with Hannah inside. So at this point, I think he's kind of torn. He's just like, what do I do? Like, this is the guy that taught me everything, but you killed everyone and you set me up and you got my family involved. That's where I think like the wheels start to turn, because he wanted Kittredge to come and find Max. He wanted Kittredge to come and get Max, but also to have Job there, and for Job to turn out to be Jim, I think was just kind of an added bonus for him. So then they get on the train the next day, going to Paris, and this is when we get one of the best action scenes of all time, because Ethan, he's directing Max to the list. She sends him to the baggage car where the money is supposed to be. Ethan's arranged for Kittredge and a bunch of CIA, IMF agents to be on the train as it's happening. Luther has like his phone device, which helps to stop the connection. That starts going awry. Max is on the phone, tells Ethan, money's in the baggage car. Go there. Job will find you. Claire goes to the car to meet Ethan, collect her share of the money, only to realize that when she gets in there and she thinks she sees Jim, it's really Ethan behind a mask. I love that was the first time
such a double cross.
dude, the mask play. A lot of people think it's like corny and a little trope with the MI movies. I love it, especially
works.
because he doesn't say anything, so he hasn't got the voice strip on his throat, so he's not saying anything. And she just walks up to him, and then he pulls the mask off, and it's Ethan. And then Jim comes out afterwards, and he's just like, "Look, surprise!" And then what has got to be like the double, triple cross, Jim starts like explaining everything. He's confessing everything. And then just as he's about to kill Ethan just goes, 1 minute. Reaches into his pocket, pulls out a pair of glasses, puts them on. And it's like you see Jim react in real time to where Ethan goes, I'm not the only one that's seen you alive. Because then you look and Kittredge has got a phone which has the video screen of the camera on the glasses, and he sees Jim. And that entails this massive, like the action sequence on the train got to be in the top 10 action scenes of all time. Just because Jim shoots his wife, shoots the wife that he was supposed to be running away with, had this all planned out with, just shoots her, takes the money and runs, beats the crap out of Ethan. Then Ethan follows him up onto the train.
Is that believable, though? John Voight kicking Tom Cruise's ass? I mean, there's old man strength, definitely.
He's definitely got that old man strength, but yeah, I don't even think John Voight in Anaconda would have beaten Tom Cruise.
What are you talking about?
What do you think about the train scene? The fight on the top.
It's kind of the ultimate action scene, the final part of the movie, but I don't know. To me, it's a great scene, but when the action like starts with the helicopter, everything that's going on the roof of the train, to me, I don't know. Maybe I've seen it too much now, but it's not that exciting to me anymore. Everything is so tense leading up to it, like just explain the entire triple cross moment. When it finally starts to get like actiony, I don't know, it kind of loses some of the tension for me, surprisingly.
Okay.
So you're all about the helicopter chase, helicopter in the tunnel.
Yep.
Green light, red light. No, green.
red light. Yeah, it's red light,
light though, but it's not a light.
He does. He goes red light, green light. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
on the helicopter,
because Gregor's flying the helicopter in, and I love the moment where he like gets up real close, and then like you see him trying to cut Ethan's throat with the helicopter blade, and I was just sitting there the whole time, just like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. He catches up.
It's a smart scene as well, because when he is in the tunnel, the train, whatever, conductor or pilot, whatever you call him, he's like, okay, we gotta slow down or something. He's like, no, you can't slow down because you'll crash into us. You gotta speed up. That was a great moment, because usually this is dumb. They make really dumb choices and decisions. This was a smart moment that wasn't really needed, but much appreciated. Like, I really love that they kind of went the extra mile with that one.
And it also adds to the fact that Max needed to download the information before she got into the tunnel. So the faster they get out the tunnel, the faster she's going to be able to reconnect and download the information. So it is like a race against time, not only just because Ethan's holding onto the top of a train about to get his head sliced off by a helicopter blade, but also if they get out the tunnel before Max can download the information's in the wind, and they're gonna have to get a hold of Max. But yeah, I love the where Ethan jumped onto the whatever they're called, the thing that you hold onto at the bottom of the helicopter, Jim's on the
Oh
other
yeah, the
side.
railing, like the what he's done countless times more now in Mission Impossible movies.
That's his thing. He loves to climb and hang off of stuff.
Hmm.
But then he somehow manages to get up towards the front of the cockpit, pulls out the gun, red light, green light, sticks it on the front, jumps off, massive
And
explosion.
the music, like when he jumps on the railing,
Mm.
then the classic dun 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 that comes back on. You're like, fuck yes, he's gonna do it.
I went to the gym yesterday and I had the Limp Bizkit version of the theme
Yes,
from Mission Impossible 2 playing.
love it. I think
Oh,
it's the
dude.
greatest soundtrack in that franchise.
Oh, what, 2? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No doubt about it. No
yeah.
question. Especially because, your boy Zimmer did it.
Hmm.
Your boy Zimmer did the score. You had Metallica do it, but we'll get to that. That is something I'm dying to talk to you about, actually, because I know you're a big
Hmm.
Hans Zimmer lover. Yeah, so then Kittredge catches hold of Max, apologizes to Ethan. Ethan's family get released. Him and Luther go off into the wind. Done. That's it. Or so we think. And I remember for the first time watching this as a kid, I was like, I wonder if we're going to get another one. Because you had the old American TV show, or the old American TV show. So it was kind
That's
of like,
right.
is this going to be more going on? And I'm really glad it was.
It is easy to forget that this is based on a TV series because I feel like the franchise is way, way, way more popular now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a forgotten fact maybe, but yeah, apparently. Well, I wonder if Tom Cruise was like a huge fan of it when he was a kid, or
Maybe.
did you even know when the Mission Impossible series happened? I'm gonna do a quick Google.
I don't. I think 70s, maybe 70s, 80s.
60s. Wow,
Oh wow.
1966. Yeah, I was. Oh yeah, I had never seen an episode,
No,
but
me neither.
it, it feels like some of the stuff in the first movie that there are like 'cause I haven't seen the series, but you kind of get a feeling that it takes something from somewhere because it's
Yeah.
almost too smart at times.
Mm,
It feels too smart to just be an original idea.
yeah.
What do you think about like now you've wrapped the plot of the movie of Brian De Palma as the director of the first one?
I like it because it was always something happening every few minutes. Like it was never just like long drawn out sequences. So there was like the story was developing constantly, and he was constantly bringing the plot along. As I think he put a really good performance out of
Hmm.
Tom, like a really good. And Tom's really the only one that needed to like really bring it. Claire, the actress who played Claire, I can never pronounce her surname right, so I'm not even gonna try. I thought she was really good. Ving Rhames just had to be, suave and the hacker
Hmm.
guy. Jean Reno just had to be intimidating, which he does very well. Yeah, I think he did a great job. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not I'm in the realm of Ben Bateman with the fact that I'm not a big fan of Brian De Palma, and
Mm,
I think the first Mission Impossible is in fact my least favorite Mission Impossible. But having watched it now, I was very surprisingly well. I was surprised about how much I did enjoy it.
mm,
So I think he was a good fit for the first movie, but I think that's exactly what he needed to do. Just be part of one and just let the franchise go the way it did.
mm.
Um, so yeah, not a big fan of him overall, but to this movie, it feels like his sensibility and the way that I mentioned at the start of the show, it kind of makes it a more artsy movie than it probably would have been if a
Yeah,
different director had done it.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the only two movies that I really say I'd be happy to go rewatch of his would be Scarface and Carlito's Way.
Yeah,
Maybe,
I can't
maybe
stand
it'd be
Scarface.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Not my type of movie. Yeah.
I know a few people that have said the same thing, so I'm not a lot of people would probably think I'd be surprised about that. I'm not. A lot of people have told me the same thing. So, but yeah, that's the main story. Should we move into our categories?
Yeah, let's do it. We probably going forward, we probably will spend less time on the in the summary part, but we're getting our wheels greased, and because I know the people are, they mostly want to hear about the awesome categories.
Yes, that's what people come to this channel for, is the categories, the custom made categories.
Yep.
Which, unfortunately, this show doesn't involve a one movie getting erased from history if it loses. This is solely just a look back at these movies, and we're going to jump in with the first category, which is knock list, which is who is our team MVP of this movie. Jarvi, I'm going to let you start.
Okay, so this was way tougher than I initially thought because I wanted to go with. I'm just gonna say who I thought about going with. I felt like Emilio Estevez's Jack seemed like the obvious choice because he had such a short screen time. But I was like, I'm gonna try and pick someone else just so I can be a bit more different, a bit more out there. And
Okay.
I really enjoyed what Kristen Scott Thomas did as Sarah Davis.
Yes.
She kind of feels like a weird pick for a Mission Impossible movie. She feels more like a Shakespearean British actress who's
I think she
part of
was.
yeah. And in a Mission Impossible movie. But I think we will get to our favorite dramatic moment. But the way she was part of the first mission, it didn't feel like what I loved about her. She felt like an actual, like an intelligence officer without these superhuman powers, let's say. Or she felt like a classy, super intelligent team member who maybe wasn't the kick-ass type.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I really loved what she did. So I'm gonna pick her because of how underrated her role and her performance is.
Could you, if she wasn't cast in MI, and I don't want to, I'm not saying this to put her in like a box and like typecast or anything. Could you have seen her as maybe a Bond girl at the time?
Absolutely. I think she actually reminded me of what was the woman's name in GoldenEye, who played the Russian chick.
You're asking the wrong person, brother. I'm the one Brit that isn't.
Well, she had the same hair. Very, very different actresses.
Famke Janssen? Famke
No, not
Janssen?
her. It was the
Isabella
yeah,
Scorupco?
Scorupco or something. Yeah,
Not
that's
Sean
one.
Bean. They played Natalia.
Not Sean, not Sean Bean. Yeah, probably could have played a Bond girl, for sure. But my pick for the MVP, weird pick, I know, but
that's
something about her.
It's definitely not one I expected. As soon as you said Jack, I thought we were aligned because my pick is Jack.
That's what I figured. I figured you were going to pick him, so I didn't want to pick the same one.
That's great. I love that. That man stayed on that elevator. Like even when Ethan told him abort, get away, he was like, "No, I'm going to make sure you guys are out of there. Then I'll make my escape." He stayed on that elevator, and it cost him his life. And just seeing Emilio Estevez in a Mission Impossible again, it's like I say, these weird castings. At the time, you're kind of like, "Are you sure?" Like Emilio Estevez in a Mission Impossible movie. Okay,
that's Coach Bombay.
Exactly, and I forget. Was it? No, it was Charlie that was in Wolf Street, right? Was it Emilio?
Charlie? Remind me.
Charlie Sheen, his brother.
Oh, was in Wall Street. Yep.
Yes, it was in Wall Street. I always think that it was Emilio, and I always forget that they're brothers too, which is crazy. But then I look at the type of character that Jack is, like that joking kind of comic relief of the team, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, with Emilio Estevez, that makes sense. That makes sense to have someone like him in there.
And he had the best line as well. You were talking about it. What was it, the lasagna line?
The pasta lasagna don't get any anya.
Yeah. Fucking just sublime.
Okay, then we move on to our next segment, Count to 10, which is our favorite dramatic moment of the movie. I'm gonna go first if you don't mind.
You go ahead.
Mine is
This
the
is
moment
fucking
in the restaurant with
tough.
Kittredge
Okay.
where they're talking between each other, and Ethan's kind of like, I can't. Sitting there at the time, he's like, I can't believe what I'm hearing right now. He's even sitting there. He's like, this whole operation was a moron. This whole operation was a moron. Like you can see it in his face. It's just like, and Kittredge is like fully blindly believes, okay, it's Ethan, and he's just like to the point where he's like, all your team died, but you're still alive. You're the one that's still alive. And then Ethan's like, oh God, like I've been set up. And you see it like start to unravel in his mind. And then he starts talking about, he goes into like Kittredge starts talking about his family and how there's like, was it $100,000 been wired into his parents' bank account? He's like, come on, you got to see where I'm coming from here. And then he goes, I understand you must be very upset. And then
upset. You never seen me upset.
Kittredge, you've never seen me very upset. And like they're speaking so quietly, but it's almost like that thing of like, speak quiet so you have to lean in, so like you know I'm more important. And that whole scene, yeah, I love it.
They're the smartest people in the room.
Yeah, I see what you were going for there. You go back to the AMA. I like it. But yeah, that would be mine. What about you?
Yeah, that was initially mine as well, but
damn, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna pivot from it to the lead up of the meeting is when Ethan Hunt is on the phone in the phone booth. Shorter moment, but that like the way he's just, they're dead.
Are you gonna do the line?
They're all dead. What was the line?
They're dead. They're all dead. My team is dead.
Slams the phone. There's so much angst and intensity in that moment. That's I think that is my favorite dramatic moment. Kind of wanted to pick also the one where he's meeting up with Claire when he finds out that she's alive as well. The entire thing, except for the weird part where he pins her down. But the way you discussed it, like Ethan is pressuring her, and she is processing the loss of Jim. That is like a really dynamic thing that's happening. Two things at the same time. And like a beautiful thing comes out of that mess. But I'm still going to go with the phone booth moment. I feel like just Tom Cruise yelling intensely. Not just yelling. There's like, he has like tenderness or like a softer side to him as well. So it's not just like, he's yelling to look like he's angry. We all know he has that, as we said, aggressive
Ed
sincerity.
Harris, Harrison Ford, Tom Cruise. People yelling angrily and passionately. Those are the three best at it.
Yeah, that's got to be my favorite dramatic moment.
Nice. Okay, let's move on to our next segment, Light the Fuse, which is our favorite action sequence of the movie. Jarvi, what's your favorite action sequence?
This is where I'm going with the most iconic, the best scene, the most well-known scene in the entire movie. It's the Langley heist by far, the silent heist, because I've kind of alluded when you were talking about the train sequence. Not a fan of that one. This is the part where I actually kind of switch off in the movie. This is where I started to look at my phone. It's weird because it's the final set piece. Shit's blowing up. I love shit blowing. I love Michael Bay. But yes, worked Michael Bay into this show as well. Fuck you, Ed Harris. No, just kidding. So kind of lost my train of thought. But yeah, the silent heist in Langley. There's like, we talked about it quite at length, so I'm not going to go through that. But the way there's no music, there's just whispers, and when finally the knife drops, then finally the music comes in, and you feel like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. You feel like, okay, I can talk and I can move again, because I feel like my actions are going to involve what happens in the movie. It's such a perfectly crafted action scene. And yeah, Tom Cruise's athletic ability.
Athleticism.
Athleticism works to its benefit. I mean, it's one of the most iconic action sequences ever, and for a good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine, I guess mine kind of also works into the dramatic scene because it's when Ethan starts putting everything together. It's like he sees the Bible, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
he sees there was at the Drake Hotel, which is where Jim was on his last mission. He looks at the knife. It's the same knife that he saw that when Sarah got stabbed. And it's just like that realization of, oh crap, like I've been played this whole time. And tying it back to the actual moment that's my favorite action scene is when he hears Jim get shot. And he starts running to the bridge. Like he's like, Jim's telling him, abort the mission, get to the safe, like get in the wind, don't come for me. Ethan runs straight to where Jim was. Jim falls into the water. Ethan gets up to the bridge. He's looking around. He's like, where is he? Okay, screw it. And he starts running again. And then as he gets to the steps of the bridge, he looks down to their car where they were going to use as a getaway car. Explodes. That to me was like the first moment I was like, okay, like shit has gone completely sideways. Now he's got to pivot. What is he going to do? So to me, that was like the big opening action piece that set the scale.
The first mission.
Yeah.
First failed mission. Mm-hmm.
They're not very good at like with these impossible mission force. Not good at
missions.
We'll get to that later in number 4. Yeah, 4.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be my one.
That was actually one that I considered for the best dramatic moment, because I feel like the way the mission is failing, it's really stressful. It really gets to it. It's so tough seeing them just get taken out one by one. And the music, everything, it's a very dramatic and a traumatic scene, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I was considering it as a dramatic moment, but there's definitely it works for both. For different reasons.
Yeah, I was either going to go with that or the. I wanted to go with the train scene at the end, but I was like, that's too on the nose. Of course, I'm going to pick that one. So I was like, which one affected me more? And it was definitely that first mission.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But with that being said, let's move on to our last category. Should you choose to accept it? Now, this is where we are going to take a character from the movie that we've just seen, the movie we've just talked about, and bring them in to Dead Reckoning Part 1. Who we want to see show up.
We already know that Kittredge is going to be back, so they kind of did our job for us in a way. Mm-hmm. But if I had to, so this involves a little bit of my rewriting of Dead Reckoning Part 1. Maybe it happens, but
it's a beauty of it.
I feel like there's going to have to be losses in Ethan's team, and I think it might be Simon Pegg's Benji. I feel like that would hurt the most because he's such a lovable actor. He's such a lovable character.
Yeah.
He's a staple now of the IMF team, and I feel like Simon Pegg is gonna die in a really heartbreaking way. Yeah. And when they need another tech guy, somehow Jack comes back.
Somehow Jack returned.
Jack returned.
So Jack pulls a Palpatine. Somehow Jack returned.
Somehow Sith cloning dark magic. It's it happens. I don't know how they're gonna explain his face being smushed by that freaking metallic thing, but hey, it's IMF. I mean, Mission Impossible. Anything can happen. They can use Emilio Estevez returns, but it's just Jack's mask. And it's actually the bad guy trying to infiltrate. Oh my God, I'm writing this as we go.
Oh my God.
This is...
That would be...
We should stop recording and I'm going to write a script. I'm going to get paid for this.
Can it be Charlie Sheen under Emilio Estevez?
Oh, no.
That would be... Or Martin Sheen's still alive, isn't he?
He is.
I'm pretty sure he
Feel like
is.
he
Yeah,
is.
we get like an more elderly guy. Bring in Martin Sheen or
Well,
Michael
there we
Sheen.
go. Well,
Make him
that's that.
Welsh.
Well, that's my pick. I'm going with Emilio Estevez, and in
That's great.
that way, mask way.
I didn't think of that one, but that's really good. I was expecting you to go where you were going to go like completely out of left field, and pick the train conductor, and like somehow he joined the
Oh.
IMF.
But that guy
My
faints, so he can't be part of the team. He's too lighthearted or something.
yeah, and like I don't know if yeah I just thought you as creative as I know you are with the Ed Harris game. It, that Jack story is brilliant. But I was preparing myself. Jarvis going like way out of left field. Mine, there's a little bit more. Yeah, duh. I would love to see Max come back.
Yeah, she kind of is though. With Vanessa Kirby, like, because Vanessa Kirby is Max's daughter, right?
Vanessa Kirby's Max's daughter. I would
Yeah.
love for this to be Max's. She's played the long con while she's been locked up. Something she's been learning about Ethan and his time at IMF, like learning all about his family, where his wife's gone, and everything. And she spent all this time plotting to get Ethan back. She's the head of the syndicate, and obviously Vanessa Kirby's character is her daughter. She spent time with Ethan. She's coming back in this movie. So yeah, I would love to see Max come back and kind of get a little bit of retribution on Ethan. I think because if we are bringing Kittredge back, it's kind of like we are bringing it full circle. Yes. So I think if there's one person that like should be like the head of the table of the syndicate, I think Max would be a great pick.
Vanessa Redgrave. She's actually won an Oscar.
Yeah, I don't know what for. I think she's like 80, 83. She's got to be like 80,
she's up there.
Mm.
She's up there. But an actress who's mostly done what we talk about, like Shakespearean stuff. She was in Atonement, Letters to Juliet, Coriolanus. Definitely the Shakespearean actress. She won an Oscar for, I think it might have been, okay, somehow I'm not finding it right now, but she has been a director as well.
Because I know the antagonist that we've seen is a guy who plays Dell in Ozark. So there's going to be some intense stuff between him and Tom Cruise, but he's a very like intense on-screen persona. So I think having Max back would kind of bring everything full circle.
I think it could happen. There's a good possibility of that happening.
I also think Jack could come back.
Jack comes. I initially start thinking about DiCaprio in Titanic when people talking about bringing Jack back. This is what it sounds like.
God, oh man, Leo in Mission Impossible. I'd watch the shit out of that.
I was thinking you were talking about when Ethan always gets blamed for in all the movies, like he's like he always gets the blame, even though he's the good guy. And I think it was in Rogue Nation or somewhere where one of the villains said that when he gets double crossed so many times, when does he get his fill? Like, when is it enough for him? And he gets pinned as the villain again. What if there was a alternate universe when you get evil Ethan? Like, he actually does crack and he starts just fucking shit up.
Yeah. And then Nick Cage has to come and bring him in.
Oh, wow.
And then we get Cage versus Cruise on screen. That would be sick. But yeah, like there's even a line in the trailer for Dead Reckoning Part 1 where it's just where Kittredge is like, the whole world's looking for you. And it's like, great, here we go again. Ethan's the bad guy yet again. But it always works because he always finds a way out of it. But yeah, that's the first episode of Am I Declassified? As I said, we're kind of getting our feet wet. It's been a minute since I've had to do the A mic kind of a role without Paul like to bounce off of doing Holy Snokes, but this was fun. I really enjoyed. I'm probably gonna watch MI2 this week at some point, because I love that movie and I want to give it its fair shot. Yeah, Jarvi, I hope you've enjoyed this experience talking about MI. I'm looking forward to doing this with you for the next few weeks.
Definitely, you did well. You carried the show
Thanks,
because
dude.
class has been going bi-weekly now. But
Mm.
whenever we skip an episode, it's gonna be like a month without class. So I feel like I'm kind of rusty. But I but I
Yeah,
like
you did
doing
great,
this,
dude.
and I like doing this. I love talking about the Mission Impossible movies.
Mm.
And I think we're only gonna get better going forward now.
Yeah, awesome. So with that being said, tell people where they can find you, where they can follow what you're up to.
On Facebook and Instagram at Richard Eric with a K Jarvi. And of course, PLD projects, class action every other Tuesday
Mm-hmm.
is when we talk about two different kinds of movies, franchises, actors. I think next week we are doing Mad Max versus Escape from New York. I think Matt Kearns pitched that one. I have never
Yeah.
seen Escape from New York.
Wow, dude, you're gonna love it. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
love it. It's so good. I love it. That and Escape from LA, they're both great. A lot of people don't like Escape from LA as much. I love it. But yeah, that's it. Kernsey, if you're listening to this, how I hate you for like picking that one. that one's gonna be rough. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Matty Gunner, Twitter at Matty Gunner. You can find my band Mourner, Mourner, on all DSPs. New song dropping soon. I'll probably announce it within the next couple of weeks. It's done. It's mixed. It's mastered. It's ready to go up. What else? Oh yeah, Holy Snokes, right here on PLD Projects every week. Myself and PLD. This week, I believe we are doing top 5 John Williams themes.
Oh my
Which
God.
the kind of ones was a struggle bus enough. Like picking the top 5 George Lucas tracks, John Williams tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, I'm not looking forward to it, dude.
It's impossible.
That'd be like
How can you
asking you.
do that? How can you talk about John Williams and not?
I mean, my one and two are set, and they are the two most
It's
obvious
unfair.
ones. It's the 3, 4, and 5 that I'm like, son of.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you have me on Class Action every other Tuesday with Mr. Richard Eric Jarvi and Paul Denuza. As Jarvi said, we are doing Mad Max versus Escape from New York, and I'm pretty damn excited for that. If this is your first time here on the channel, please give us a like, hit subscribe. We're trying to get to 500 followers. I believe we're on like 412 at the moment. So we're pushing and we're pushing. We're trying to get there. Got a lot of content on the show for you. We got Crown Jewels, Queen podcast. We have 2 mediocre white dudes on film with PJ Campbell and PLD. You've got Class Action with us, Holy Snokes with myself and PLD. And who knows, maybe we'll have more content, stuff like this, where we focus on specific movie franchises and go further in depth, like 2 mediocre white dudes on film do. But yeah, I'm excited, looking forward to that. And with that being said, we are officially disavowed.